Hello everyone, I am Mukul and today we would be looking at Bayes' theorem in probability. So what exactly is Bayes' theorem? Bayes' theorem is a mathematical formula that calculates the conditional probability of an event or the probability that an event will occur given that another event has already occurred. This explanation is from Google search and even you can find it on Google. But what exactly is Bayes' theorem? Let's understand this with the help of an example. The example is about you appearing for an exam. So the scenario is that you are appearing for an exam. The probability of you studying for the exam is 70%. These are just arbitrary numbers. So the probability of not studying is 30%. Why? 1 minus 70% gives you 30%. Now, if you study, what is the probability that you will pass? Let's say 80%. Now, if you study, what is the probability that you will fail? 20%. 1 minus 80%. Now, if you do not study, then what is the probability that you will pass? Let's say 40%. And what is the probability that you will fail if you do not study? It is 60%. Now, you meet me after the exam and you tell me, Mukul, I have passed. Now, I am curious. I want to know what is the probability that you have studied for the exam. I cannot say that you have studied for the exam is 70%. So I cannot say that the probability that you have studied for the exam is 70%. No. This is after you tell me that you have passed. Now I want to find out what is the probability that you have studied for the exam. This is different. Probability of you studying for the exam is 70%. This is something else. This is what I know by observing you in the class. But after you tell me the result of your exam, then I want to find out what is the probability that you have studied. This is called as Bayes' theorem. You want to find out the probability after you have received some additional information. That is called as Bayes' theorem. Now let's see how to solve this sum. You have to solve this using a tree diagram. This is the best method according to me. You have to draw a tree diagram. Probability of study PS 70%, so it is 0.7. Probability of not studying becomes 30% or 0.3. Now, if you study, what is the probability that you will pass? I'm simply inputting the values which were given in the question. Probability of pass. This was 80%. And if you do not study, if you study, what is the probability that you will fail? It was 20%. Similarly, we go with this node. If you do not study, what is the probability of you passing? Let's say it was 40%. And what is the probability that you fail if you do not study? It is 60%. Now we calculate the joint probabilities. Joint probabilities means we multiply. So 0.7 times 0.8 gives you 0.56. 0.7 times 0.2 gives you 0.14. 0.3 times 0.4 gives you 0.12, and 0.3 times 0.6 gives you 0.18. Now, you are telling me that you have passed the exam or you have cleared the exam. So, I try to find out those results or those joint probabilities which indicate that you have passed. So, which are those two scenarios where you have passed? First one is this, and first one is 0.56 because you have studied and passed, and second one is not studied and passed, which is 0.12. So 0.56 plus 0.12, this becomes your denominator of the equation. Now, which is the case where you have studied and passed? Because I want to find out the probability that you have studied. So this is the case that you have studied and passed, which is 0.56. I'm simply repeating what you have done. After calculating the joint probabilities, we have identified those scenarios where you have passed because you have told me that you have passed. And then I took that scenario where you have studied and passed. Why? Because I want to find out the probability that you have studied. Then I simply add the denominator, which is point. So I simplify the above fraction. So 0.56 divided by 0.68, and the answer that I get is 0.82. So the probability that you have studied, given that you have passed, is 82%. I hope you have understood Bayes' theorem. It simply means I want to find out the probability of an event given that you have given me some updated information. I hope you have understood this example. I hope you have understood Bayes' theorem, and I wish you good luck with your exams. Thank you. Thank you very much.